8:35, time for your TTO program this morning. We welcome in James Lindquist and Dusty Laufer in this morning. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Nolan.
Yeah, good morning.
How are we this morning?
We're doing good.
Yeah, nice morning so far.
A little chilly out this morning, yeah. Yeah, the wind's supposed to be... I talked to a couple individuals this morning. They're going hunting, and they're like, yep, looking forward to it. Well, until about this afternoon, and then So it could be an ugly weekend for hunting out there. I think it's antelope starts today.
I believe it
so,
did. Yeah. And I guess that probably brings up something we should touch on right away is we did put on a burn restriction. And I did just hear on the radio this morning, too, the governor put on a statewide fire emergency, which means obviously they can pull in the National Guard and things like that in the event of wildfires. But Adams County did put on a burn restriction, and basically it'll follow the fire danger index. So in high and very high, there's no burning, and low and moderate, you can follow the guidelines and still do some burning and stuff. But it's, with hunting season coming up and the off-road vehicles and things like
exactly.
that, it's a major concern. We just had a fire up north here. What day was that?
Last week?
Last week, Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday or what?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was there? James, you would know. There was 4 fire departments involved, I think.
I think that was Friday, wasn't it?
Was it Friday?
Yeah,
Okay.
Friday.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I was out of town. But yeah, I mean, it sounded like it got into a bunch of hay bales. And like I said, when that happens, like I said, it's not like they're just going to be able to put out the hay bale with water. No,
Right.
you have to let it burn out.
Yeah.
So
And it's going to smolder for quite some time.
So,
Days.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like if you get into windrows or if you just get into a bale and it starts up on fire, you literally have to rake it to the center and let it pretty much watch it burn itself out.
Yep.
But it's a bad situation because if it gets windy, all the drift from that fire can go off and start another fire. So if you have straws that are blowing in the wind and carrying those ashes and those flames,
Right.
like I said, it's a high potential to start up and keep going.
Yeah, very dry down in this area. I mean, you get a little bit farther east, it gets a little bit better, but for the most part, I know the big talk is southwest, and it's dry. I mean,
I think the farther southwest you get, the
Yeah.
drier it gets, and,
Yeah.
and a lot of fuel out there. With most of the harvest being done,
Yep.
and then even your beans, your corn, flowers, they're all drying up. So
Yep.
yeah, if something got loose, it would be a bad one. And with the wind, I just urge everybody to be careful, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many years ago was the Bucyrus one? That was...
It had to be about 12 years.
Is
been
it?
12?
It's been that long already?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was in high school when that happened.
Yeah. Jeez. Wow,
Don't want to
okay.
age everybody.
Yeah, don't age us at all there. Thanks,
Well,
James.
I was in high school when Nolan moved to town, so we'll
Okay.
just pass the age.
Oh, gosh. Wow. Okay, well. Yeah,
Take
but
our jabs this morning.
Dusty, I was pretty damn young when I moved here.
Yeah,
Just
you were.
thinking that
I
way,
was
yeah.
trying to do the math.
Yeah.
You said your wife was, 39 the other day?
29, yeah.
29,
Yeah. No, I'm trying to think when I moved here, it was probably 25 or 26. Right?
I was guessing.
So I
that's
was probably
about-
young.
Yeah. You're not that old yet.
No. Okay. All right. So we've got that.
Yeah, I think the city is following with the county's proclamation. I think all the cities are kind of following under that. So,
Okay.
like I said, whatever the burn ban that the county puts up, the cities are putting kind of their restrictions in with it too.
Yeah.
And that probably includes, and I know a lot of people have fire pits,
Yeah.
if they just want to sit in their backyard on their property, that's, even if you have a garden hose on both sides,
Yeah.
probably not a smart thing to do this time of year.
Just be careful.
Be smart.
Be smart.
Common
about it.
sense goes
Yeah.
a long way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the winds, if it's a still day, then you might be able to get away with it 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah. So before we get into, we're going to talk about some measures and stuff. Speaking of hay bales, I'm sure everyone, or most everyone, has heard we did have an anthrax case
Yeah.
in Adams County, and I guess I talked to State Vet Ethan Andrus. I'm sure everybody remembers that guy, and
Yep.
he gave me a lot of useful information and stuff. And anthrax is very serious. It's contagious in herds and stuff, but there are vaccines out there and boosters, and so you can prepare your herd, things like that. This particular case was an animal that was sold, I believe, at a South Dakota market and then died at the purchaser's place.
Oh, okay.
And anthrax is a very rapid killer. I think.
Is there like
hours.
symptoms? Oh, it's hours. Okay.
Yeah, like 24 hours, 48 hours
Okay.
kind of thing. And so, you can see symptoms, he said, but, watch your herd really close. But by the time you catch it, they're probably dead.
But even if you say you sold this at a South Dakota market, and then 2 days later this cow passed away, I mean, how do they know it was contacted in North Dakota
I think
in the herd?
And
I'm sure they do a lot of testing. Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know it came from an area that has historical anthrax. So in 2023, there was 24 cases of anthrax in North Dakota, and they were in Adams, Hettinger, and Grant County.
Okay.
So you kind of picture that little corner up
Yep.
there, and I mean, not to pinpoint because there is confidentiality involved, and rightfully so, but I think that's kind of probably how they can pinpoint to it.
Yeah.
I assume came from that area and such, and maybe there was more deaths in the herd. I haven't heard. I've only heard of one death, one animal. So
And to probably nip it, you'd probably have to just get rid of all your cattle and start from scratch and clean up the whole.
well, they're under
I'm sure
quarantine,
it's-
and
okay.
and they are vaccinating, and so they're taking the right steps. And actually, Dr. Andrus said that it's in an area where, with the history of it, a lot of the producers vaccinate anyway.
Yeah.
So that should really limit.
And where does it
contagion and exposure?
come from? Is it like from drinking water? From
So you'll see anthrax in drought years and coincidentally high rains. So it's a bacteria that can be in the soil or be in dormancy for decades,
gotcha.
years and years. And so it could go back to previous generations, previous producers.
Okay.
I mean, it's not all current producers, and I mean, it's not their fault necessarily. And
Right.
apparently, once it's in an area, it's very hard to get rid of.
Right. That's what I
Best thing you can do is vaccinate your herds. So,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
just wanted people to be aware of that and touch on that a little bit too. And
Yeah, they plugged that pretty good the last couple of days on North Dakota News.
Yeah, they
I
do.
think
Yeah,
that was the
it's all
lead
over.
story for quite a while. So
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Not good news, but the fact that people are taking care of it,
Yeah.
I think is good. So, and then we, I guess today we were going to talk a little bit about your measures on your ballot coming up here, and we've all kind of got a little poll in front of us that shows where the current measures are sitting. This I think came out yesterday.
Well, and if obviously everybody listening probably are voters.
Hopefully.
When you read a measure, you got to read it. You can't just skim over it and go, oh yeah, yes. And then all of a sudden you get to the very end of the measure and says, if you vote yes, this is what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, sometimes they put these measures on. I mean, there's some clever people out there putting these measures together.
Well, and I think all of us have gone to the ballot box or the polls and read one through 6 or 7 times and been like, geez, I wish I had researched or
Yep.
researched
Got some
this.
information, yeah.
Or just said, what does this mean?
Yeah, the
You're-
terminology
yeah.
and one of the measures actually on that is clarifying that measures would be limited to one subject. Now that's measure 2, and basically I think it's to eliminate confusion, prevent them from hiding things in there. I guess a downfall would be it could make your ballot 6 pages long because
Right.
if you got to have 25 measures, but at the same time, you look at I'm going to vote for the farm bill, but I want to vote for the farm bill, but in there they want to give 20 million to Ukraine or things
Right.
like that, and so I think it would eliminate that, but it would obviously make your ballot longer and increase the amount of measures.
Yeah.
But
Well, and you look at Measure 4, and everybody right away it says eliminate property taxes, and your initial reaction is like, yeah, let's do
Save
it.
me some money. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then because you hear all of these other states, I mean, there's some states that don't have income tax. There's some states that don't have this, but just because you don't have property taxes, now that's going to make maybe your car registration's a lot higher, or your certain taxes higher. So
Well, tax has to come from somewhere.
Right.
And like I said, the property tax one is huge because, like I said, that's where the city and the county both kind of levy their funds from for
Yeah.
their budgets. And like I said, getting rid of property taxes just means we have to tax something else.
right,
You know,
exactly.
There's Measure 5 on here too, the proposal to legalize marijuana. I mean, what does that mean? If it becomes legal, do we put all of our taxes at that and try to tax that as well to get rid of the property taxes?
Right.
So like I said, does sales tax come up? Do we start taxing other products like marijuana or whatever, if they become legal, that's what we're going to have to kind of soul search and figure out where this income is going to come from, or where these
Right.
taxes get derived from.
So it's one of those measures where it sounds awesome. You're thinking, all right, that $1,000 or $2,000, all right, I don't have to pay that anymore, and then all of a sudden you get your bill for your car registration.
Yeah.
It's no longer going to be 71; it's probably going to be 171 to try to make up for.
So we have 5 measures that we're going to be pretty much voting on coming up.
Yep.
And maybe it would be best if we just go down each measure one by one and just start at the first one and talk
Okay.
about it.
All right, measure 1.
So measure 1, a constitutional question that would change outdated terminology that describes public institutions in North Dakota. Now, that's one you have to research. You're like, what are they talking about? And so I guess the poll right now shows people yes for it 75%, no 9%, undecided 16%. So what that is, and I had to research it myself, and basically what it is it's kind of the measure to not hurt feelings. I mean, so we're in this type of world where terminology, slang term has maybe overtaken some terms.
Yep.
So one of them would be changing the name of the School for the Deaf and the Dumb to the School for the Deaf and the Hard of Hearing. So they're just obviously dumb slang term has taken over that terminology.
So they actually have it in there as deaf and dumb?
That's
Really?
what it's called, is a School for the Deaf and the Dumb. And another one would be the State Hospital for the Insane would be changed to the State Hospital for the Care of Individuals with Mental Illness.
Oh, okay.
So it's one of those measures that may not affect your taxes, may not affect
Right.
anything, but it's just a terminology thing.
And I think that has been slowly over the years. A lot of those have been changed already, for the most part.
I wouldn't doubt it, yeah.
And I suppose one was changed that hurt some feelings, and now all of a sudden, okay, now we got to put a measure out there to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a way to make some of the wording in the Constitution, I guess, more politically correct.
Right.
I mean, not to say that the words there are pejorative or like slang that hurts people's feelings,
Right.
but it's just a way, I guess, to change words around to, I don't know, make it more politically correct.
Yep,
now
exactly.
in today's environment.
Okay, measure 2.
So measure 2 is a constitutional measure that would require initiated measures to be limited to one subject, measure sponsors and petition circulations to be qualified electors and petition signers to provide a complete residential address. It would also require voters to approve measures in 2 separate elections.
So it'll be June and then November, I would think.
I
You'd
would
put the
assume
measure
that.
in June,
Yeah,
and then
your
you'd have to
primaries and
prove
your
it.
general.
Okay.
Yep. And basically, I think, again, we'll go with the poll here. Right now, undecided is 34%, and I think probably lack of research into
Right.
it again. And people for yes is 38%, and no is 28%. And I think the biggest thing to take out of that is what they're trying to do is eliminate confusion, eliminate, as we talked about earlier, hiding things in there.
Right.
And also maybe give it a chance to be seen more by putting it in 2 separate elections, so that it can't be just thrown in and take people by surprise,
Yep.
maybe. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So probably so you keep on one subject that you're voting on and not kind of hiding other line items in that
Right.
proposal.
And
as
I
well.
think that's a major of the measures that do that.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, like I said, I think it just creates more transparency.
Yep.
In the process for people knowing what they're voting for.
yeah. The only downfall I can see, again, is it would make your ballot really long and big,
Right.
lengthy, but
Yeah.
And some of those measures do get long.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd have, instead of one measure covering 3 things, you'd have 3 measures then, or so,
Right.
you'd have a lot more
Yeah.
to vote on. But I guess maybe that's really the way it should be in a sense too. If you think about
Yeah.
it, it should be transparent.
Yeah.
Okay, measure 3, that has to do with would decrease the amount of principal that the state could spend from the legacy fund.
Yeah. So, like I said, legacy funds, like I said, North Dakota, in general, against other states, are in great financial health, and like I said, we are a huge agricultural and energy industry, and obviously they have money that comes in from tax revenue off of those industries, and I think a lot of North Dakota with this legacy fund, like I said, the idea is to start a fund and then let it grow, and then kind of spend the interest. You know, we have a foundation here in Henniger, and I'm trying to think, it's the Henniger Foundation, but I mean, they're doing the same thing. Where
Yeah,
they create a
I know what
fund.
one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, they put money into this fund, they let the investment grow, and once you get enough money in this investment growing, they spend the interest on things.
Yep.
And the nonprofit here that does it, like I said, takes the interests and pretty much donates it to nonprofits here locally to help benefit our community.
Yep.
The state's just doing the same thing, and the proposal is just not to spend any of the principal and just to spend the interest off of those investments.
Right.
So
It's actually to take it from 15% to 5% for
Yeah.
clarity there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's not that it's
not total. Yeah.
not total. It's 15 down to 5%
Okay.
is what they're proposing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We mentioned kind of the property taxes. That is measure 4. Would you like to eliminate? And like I said, we don't know how it's going to be worded on there. I don't know if it's going to be worded this way, but right now it says initiated measure that would eliminate property taxes. So I'm sure somehow they're going to word it.
So
You know.
I guess that's the one. I'm not going to really give my true opinion on any of them, but that one. I feel passionately that you eliminate the property tax measure 4, and you're going to have you're going to be fixed on basically a fixed income, and you're going to be at the state's mercy. You're going to be up in Bismarck begging for funds. This could lead to consolidation of counties. Even this could, lead to consolidation of. It's great when the city and county works together, which we're going to talk about
Yeah.
later. But when you start consolidating things too much, and then you're at the mercy of the legislature to
Right.
get extra funds, or you have to come up with it locally, such as raising taxes,
Yeah.
other ways, sales tax, special sales tax assessments, things, and the money's still got to come from somewhere, and it would be a fixed income, so we would get money from the state, but truthfully, how long is that going to last too? We talk about the state of North Dakota's up there. We're one of the more wealthier states right
Yeah.
now. But something like this could totally flip that around in 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, oil may not be here forever. That's obviously where most of this revenue is coming from. And I guess to touch on that, right now, the yes vote is 28%, the no vote is 40%, and there's 33% undecided.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very important one to educate people on.
And you're probably thinking 28% would be those apartment with the college kids, the
Yeah.
younger adults that are living that don't have property taxes, and they're probably just thinking, yeah, let's eliminate them,
Well,
or don't eliminate them.
Definitely, and like I said, this is one that I think the city and county can agree on, that we're a hard no for it, because
Yeah.
nobody, I think, wants to go down it. I don't think there's any other states in the United States that do elimination of property taxes, to my knowledge. Maybe, but like I said, the League of Cities is completely against it. As the mayor, and I could speak for the rest of the board, I don't think anybody on the city council is in favor of this
Right.
measure.
And this is a state measure, so it's not like if Adams County votes no,
Yeah.
out of all the counties,
Yeah.
it
No,
doesn't
this is
matter.
not.
It's whatever the state decides is what's going to do
Well,
it.
and like
So.
we talked about previously, like I said, getting rid of property taxes just means we have to find the money elsewhere.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like I said, we might have to go to Bismarck or to our state legislature to go ask for those additional funds. I think what I was initially told here was that if it passes, our current budgets are just going to freeze where they're at. So, like I said, whatever we had them at, they're kind of just freezing right there.
Oh, okay.
Is kind of my understanding.
An average of the last 3 years or something, and then frozen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
But there's also very little planning on it. I mean that there's very little planning here.
Yeah.
They've thrown this measure out there. They have no idea how to support it necessarily.
Yeah.
It's very untimely. And I guess one thing I think Katie Roseland, our tax director, told me this, and I can't remember, but I want to say it was like 70% of property owners are outside of the state, so that this property relief, tax, this
Helping people who live outside of here.
absolutely,
Yeah.
you're not really benefiting. 70%.
They would be the one fist pumping, going, yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
all right.
Yeah,
I don't have
we
to pay
care
any.
what goes on in North Dakota.
Yeah, I don't
We
need the gas tax. I
we
don't
don't
do
live
this.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If
exactly.
you live in California and you don't live here, that's great. You don't
Yep.
pay property tax.
And one thing to think about is, and this is big corporations like Walmart. Walmart is a big one in North Dakota. Think about all the Walmarts in North Dakota. Think about the tax Walmarts are paying to support the city of Dickinson, this Bismarck, Fargo, Grand Forks, all of those. We don't have a Walmart here, but I mean, you think about the tax that they're paying, and then you just let them off the hook. So one more thing about that, you can learn a lot about a ballot measure by researching who basically initiated it, and that's Rick Becker. And one thing about Rick Becker is he's a Republican turned independent. When he didn't win as a Republican, he turned independent to try and win. He considers himself a classic liberal, which, whatever, terminology. But the most important piece of information is he's a plastic surgeon from Bismarck with several commercial developments. That's right there if you Google him. And so, you talk about several commercial developments. He definitely in it for himself, not to pay tax on these things. So anyway,
and just reading it, you're reading those percentages of where the vote is at. The percentages you're reading is they called up 500 North Dakotans. So voters from September 28th to 30th. So this is amongst 500 people. So if you would have been involved with it, so this isn't like a statewide. This is just a very minimal poll of like 500 people. So it's not like we're persuading you on. Oh, yep, everybody 75% yes. So it must be gonna pass come November.
Exactly.
So
and like I said, those poll numbers are gonna vary geographically. I mean, heck, if we pulled town here, I don't know what the results would be. The city raised taxes on property, so our property taxes ballooned up. Maybe people are thinking it's a good thing because.
Oh, maybe this weekend you can do a poll. What do you got going on? Nothing, right?
Mayor Lindquist will be calling you.
Yeah, there you go.
His number is this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you.
Just sit up at Kennedy's as people walk in. Hey, I need a quick poll. A quick poll.
Well, quick poll. Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm not trying to encourage people.
No.
Like I said. Raising taxes doesn't mean it's a good idea to eliminate it. We're strongly against eliminating property taxes because, like I said, it brings on a slew of issues, not just for the city, for the county, statewide. I think
part of what you raised taxes for was some improvements, sidewalks and such, as you talked about last time we were here, and where is that money going to come from? If you don't have taxes, you're going to get this set amount. That's going to be your operations, and when you need to do the sidewalks or whatever, you're still going to have to tax people for it, unfortunately.
Exactly.
So you just lose local control. I think that is the biggest thing here. So,
and then measure 5 is the final one. That is the legalization of marijuana use, production, and sales by anyone at least 21 years and older.
Yeah.
And that is yes or no.
Yeah. So, like I said, measure to legalize marijuana in North Dakota. Like I said, I don't know. What the poll numbers show right now, like I said, we've got 40% saying no, 45 saying yes, 15 undecided. And like I said, that's the poll out of 500 people.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know how the town feels personally. Here's just my personal opinion here. The city was looking at this measure years back when they had it on the ballot the first time to legalize it.
Yeah.
And when it didn't pass, like I said, before they had the no pass, we put in ordinances to kind of prevent or slow the distribution or production here if it passed. So, like I said, what we didn't want happening was it passes and then we just have a cannabis shop on Main Street right away, pumping out stuff. So, like I said, the city and county have the ability to set ordinances and set some restrictions statewide, or not statewide, but within their jurisdiction to kind of prohibit the distribution or stuff. But like I said, I don't know how it benefits our community besides taxes.
Right.
Like I said,
but the thing is, if you don't let somebody set up here, it's going to get here eventually. I mean, you're going to drive to maybe Bowman, you're going to drive to Dickinson, and then all of a sudden, so you could slow it down, like you said. That's about all you can try to do. Yeah. But eventually, it's for 21 and older too. But then, how many? Alcohol is the same way. It's like you have the 14, 15, 16-year-olds that are already getting access to it pretty easily. So I think that's going to be how the marijuana is going to go as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when Colorado legalized it, their revenue just went through the roof, I think, taxing it. Because, like I said, when they taxed it, they gained a lot of tax revenue and tax base from the sale of marijuana.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think our state would do that as well. But, like I said, for our community, like I said, demographically, we're 1,100 people. It's an aging community. I don't know necessarily if we need it in our neighborhood.
No.
I know that, the sheriff's department had a lot of drug-related offenses that they were trying to bust, throughout the last few years. They got a canine and whatever else. So, not to say that I'm against marijuana altogether. Like I said,
Right.
But like I said, I don't know if legalizing it is what's right for our community specifically.
Yeah.
There's another thing you talk about, law enforcement. I think that's always been a valid concern is, driving under the influence or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's drugs are in your system for months, so it's not something you can just go give a breathalyzer and test
Right.
and things. And alcohol is in and out basically in hours kind of thing. And so I think it all comes down to a lot of sobriety.
Yeah.
It's sobriety tests, I guess. And
And you get out to Minnesota too. I mean, I went to a football game, and that's pretty much all you smell. Anybody
Yeah.
you talk
yeah.
to out there, it's just kind of like, whoa,
Yeah.
So I mean, that obviously in a bigger situation, Mall of America, malls, all that, you're out in the open here. But yeah, I mean, everywhere you went, it seemed like you'd be walking down the street, and it's like, oh, you smell it again. So I mean, it's going to be a tough one because alcohol, obviously, you can't just stand outside here and drink a beer. I mean, are you going to be able to just sit out on the corner and smoke the marijuana? I mean, it's
anymore
hard to say,
with
yeah.
these new ways of smoking, they can
with
do
the
it
vaping and exactly.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to really give my opinion on it. I can see an advantage of the taxes. I don't know that we're going to see a great advantage here unless, like James says, you got 10 shops pop up on Main Street.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
next thing you know, everybody's coming into Adams County just to get their fill, and
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the crowd you want either necessarily. I guess I'm just going to not touch on that one so much as
Yep.
there's ups and downs. There's safety concerns as well as there's a tax benefit. And
Yeah.
I personally don't want to see it pass, but that's my personal feeling.
Right.
I'm not. Unlike Measure 4, I've got more influence there. I definitely.
And with these measures, just remind folks, so in case you're sitting there going, why are these three telling us how to vote? And we're bringing you the attention of the 5 measures.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not persuading you to say, hey, you need to vote yes on Measure 1. You need to vote no on Measure 2. We're not saying that. You're going to see, you should be hearing all the campaigns out there already. Do your research. Don't walk in on November, what's the date? November 5th. And go, oh, I didn't know that was Measure 3. Oh, okay. And then you're reading it going, yeah. Some people do that. Some people just go through and go, yes. All right, I'm done with my ballot. And
they go there to vote for one person or
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
especially with a presidential campaign, everybody's
Yep.
they got that in their mind, and you're right. You might just go check a box or something, and we're just here to encourage you to do your research, and if not, just listen to us. We'll do the research for you.
Yeah, there you go.
And tell you what we know, and we might throw an opinion in there, but
Yeah.
we're definitely not telling you how to vote.
Well, and I think for the most part, too, it's like, I think we got to encourage people to vote.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing. It's like sometimes it's like you get a huge turnout. You're like, hey, all right, people are back to vote. And then the next turn, you're like, oh, 56 people voted. All right. So, I mean, for the most part, I mean, I know a lot of people go, yeah, I'd vote for Trump, but my vote doesn't matter anyways. Well, Trump and Biden aren't the only, or Harris aren't the only ones on the ballot. It is governor. I mean, it's down the line. There's probably
Measures. I mean,
tons of measures, tons of political. I mean, there's some stuff locally here as well. So,
Yeah, there's so much important stuff on that ballot,
Yep.
for sure. Whether you like the presidential candidates or not.
Exactly.
I encourage you to get out and vote.
It is only one vote, but when you get locally, we've
North
seen
Dakota,
we've
North
seen
Daughters.
it. Well, in Adams County, we've seen it where it's been like a 3-vote difference.
Yeah.
In a county commissioner race or a mayor's race, it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
3 votes. So, I mean, your vote does count.
Yep,
So
for
get out and vote, and let's try to get a record-breaking turnout for November.
I did get a correction quick. Measure 4, 82% are non-resident owners.
Oh, 82%. Oh,
82%.
Wow.
So again, when you think about taxes and the taxes paid, 82% comes from outside residents.
okay.
So
All right.
Who are you giving the break to?
Yeah, exactly.
You might get a break yourself, but all in all, you're really giving the break to big corporations, outside investors, things like that. So,
Exactly.
How
Okay.
much time do we got? Are we pushing the limits here?
We're past it, but what else? Do you have anything else? Just
Well, so like I said, coming up here, there's going to be a second 40 club meeting.
Okay.
It's open to the public. It's going to be at the senior center.
Is that on Monday?
Next Monday, week
Next-
from Monday. Yep.
Week from Monday. Okay.
Yep. October 14th at 1 p.m.
Yep. And like I said, Dusty and I will be there, hopefully to help people go more in depth on these measures. Like I said, if you got questions on any of the 5 measures that we talked about here on the radio, we'll try to answer some, do some question and answer there. If they want to come and talk about city-county politics, we could do that too. I make a pretty good punching bag. People come up and
Yeah. And you don't have to be involved in the Second 40 Club. You can show up just to
I
get
thought
the
I'd
information.
appreciate
Yeah.
the people. You don't have to be over 40 or whatever.
No.
I don't think
I think 80.
80, yeah, second 40, yeah.
I've tried to figure that out, and a buddy tried to explain it to me. I'm like, well, to me, second 40 would be 41 to 80. But
That's what I thought,
they're
but-
saying the second 40 is 80 and
80 and up, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like
So-
I said, whether you're young or old, like I said, it's open
Yeah.
to the public.
You'll still be a
Well,
spring chicken there, Nolan.
supposedly I'm already old compared to these two. So
We covered that earlier.
we covered that at the beginning. So
But I'm
Yeah.
hoping to maybe recruit, I think Katie Rosen will come talk about some tax stuff too as well.
Yep.
Maybe, so I think it'd be a really good conversation. I don't know how long they were planning on letting us talk or what, but we were told it was open to the public, so we just want to extend that invitation.
well, there could be dime bingo that day, so you might
Yeah.
be the bingo caller. Who knows?
Well, like I said,
know?
it's all about spreading
Could be a
awareness.
big pot.
Yeah. It's about spreading awareness and getting community engagement.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're an aging community.
Definitely.
We want to get our community involved in
Yeah.
this and get them more aware.
Yeah, and we're 1 month away from the election, so be prepared for Ad City, from the presidentials to everything else, and locally,
Yeah,
county commissioners.
exactly.
You're looking at signs all over the place, so
Oh, yeah. Like I said,
do your research on the county commissioners, that's for sure.
Yep. I definitely think it's an important election all around. So,
Yep. And it's always nice to have people running, because
Oh, yeah.
usually it's like, if you have county commissioners, you vote for 2 and there's 2 on the ballot.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, well, I don't want him to be in there, but I guess he's the only option.
it says a lot when you have a choice.
Yeah, now you have a choice, because they're voting for 2 and there's 4 up there, so which is nice.
Yep.
So
Yep. And like I said, the city's the same way. Like I said, we've always had a hard time getting people to run
Yep.
for city council. Like I said, county commission and city council are thankless jobs. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that you do. There's a lot of people that don't see. But getting our community involved and wanting them to participate in making these decisions is what ultimately we want and what we need
Yep.
From our community.
Definitely.
And that's what we're trying to promote.
all right.
So I think we got one more
thing to touch on.
to talk
Okay.
about.
So
Yep.
At the last update I just mentioned that we had our public works agreement kind of not in the wind, but coming up for discussion. Like I said, I wanted to come up and give a brief update. Like I said, since our last city council meeting and the last county commission meeting, like I said, we've been trying to work to figure out a solution to this problem. So like I said, as everybody knows, the public works contract is coming to an end here, I think on the 10th, not the 1st. But like I said, we're going to try to address it here in the next city council and county commission meeting. Like I said, Dusty and I have met multiple times and come up with kind of a proposal to kind of patch us to the end of the year and hopefully
Yeah.
beyond that.
And basically, you're renegotiating the contract.
Yeah.
Is-
Yep.
And so, I mean, you're not eliminating it right now. You're renegotiating,
Yeah,
kind of,
so,
if I'm
so
saying it right.
the old contract was terminated completely.
Yep.
So there's two new contracts that were kind of written up or proposed out. I'll just go into both of them, honestly. The first one is pretty much that the city of Henniger will pretty much pay for one full-time employee, benefits and everything. And that's what we budgeted for, to kind of go down that first solution of we'll work with the county will kind of do all the payroll and whatever and hire on this employee, but it's going to be at complete cost to the city completely.
Right.
And that's why I went on the radio and said, whoever we hire is going to have a lot of certifications, a lot of knowledge, and we're going to have them wearing a lot of hats.
I think both Mayor Lindquist and I were not for this. I mean, it was
It's an option.
it's an option, but I think we were, they were going and researching. They had to adjust taxes to account for an employee, and which they've never had to do in the past, and it was kind of a forced thing. They were budgeting and had to be done, but I think we've come up with a better solution.
Yeah, so like I said, Dusty Laufer and I have, like I said, sat down and gone through a lot of the stuff. And like I said, we've came up with kind of an agreement for the future here that is going to be cost sharing that position for public works.
Okay.
So, previously the county would provide all the public works services, and they would kind of designate one employee. It's doing something similar there. The main difference here is that we have two separate agreements, one from October pretty much till the end of the year, which is just going to be a flat rate of, we'll have an employee doing these public work services, and we'll be paying a flat X amount per hour to do that services till the end of the year. And then for the following year in 2025, we're just going to cost share that employee, where we pay 30% of their salary pretty
Right.
much to provide those services.
Okay.
Just like we cost share like the auditor's office or tax director and stuff like that. Like I said, we cost share other employees. I think it makes sense for us to cost share another public works employee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess where we're going back to, I've had some conversations with Nathan Noggle has been your city water man since probably Clayton Olson, I would assume. Was there someone with him?
Yep.
And he's just, Nathan is a phenomenal employee. He's a phenomenal person. He's got just integrity, honesty. I think he's just he's wore a city county hat both forever, and he expressed that he wants to continue to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he right now is our maintenance coordinator, custodial, everything for all the courthouse properties, the county properties, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Courthouse, FSA, he's just taken over that, NRCS, things like that. And it is a full-time job, but we feel that without sacrificing any of his duties there, he will have time to oversee just the water sewer department. Now that doesn't include it. He used to see him around filling potholes, street sweeping, all that stuff. This would more be just using his credentials. He's got water and sewer both. I guess stuff that certifications, I should say.
Yeah, like I said, when we look at trying to hire an applicant, like I said, it's, they're going to have their water and sewer certifications. They're probably going to have a CDL. They're going to have a commercial pesticide applicator license to do what the city needs done, or what historically has been done for the city. So we're looking for a highly specialized individual to take on that role. And like I said, we already have one who's been doing it for all these years. And it makes sense. Obviously, you can't take on the full burden of doing all the patching of the roads and sweeping and etc. But the water and sewer is, I think, the main one. That would be really hard.
That's where you need the special credentials.
Even if we hired a full-time employee and went a completely different route, like previously, like I said, we would still have to contract out those services or hire the county to provide that supervision until our new employee got those certifications. So, like I said, it's an issue like Dusty and I have both been working on to try to resolve and bring forward to both of our groups and boards and try to push it through as an agreement. Like I said, this is a way the city county come together again, I think, and work together to benefit our community.
It's a cost savings for everybody. So the city, you had budgeted 60-some thousand or better for that position. Now it would cost the city about 22,000.
Yeah.
The city still budgets, other funds for the street maintenance and the sweeping and stuff. That will be maintained still by the highway department employee. I think you've seen, is it Freddie Fortune, I believe? He's been doing some of that and learning and doing a great job. He's definitely an asset to the county as well. But so again, it would save the city, $30,000-$40,000 easily. And then there's also a revenue for the county too. So we've got somebody that's already doing the position because he's been overseeing it until this contract is terminated,
and the
doing
county's
his current job.
The county's going to save some money too.
Yeah,
like
we're looking at a revenue of about 22,000 or whatever per this contract, just for that. Not to mention the revenue of the highway department doing the other street maintenance. So I think it's going to be really good, and I think what we're really trying to push here is trust between the city and trust between the county, and there's no hard feelings between most of the boards. I think the mayor and I work great together, and we enjoy these little stints. We appreciate you having us on, even when we get super long-winded here. But But anyway,
That's
so-
okay. You're on the clock now, so you're getting charged now.
Oh.
No, I'm
bill,
kidding.
Bill it to the city.
Yeah, there you go. You know what
Must be
cost share of that?
supervisor,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
But I guess I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch, Mayor. But I do appreciate this time.
Yep.
And getting the information out there, all of it, whether it's the measures, the city county related stuff, everything.
Yeah. No, the only comment I want to put out there is like I said last time on the radio, I fully endorse Dusty Laufer for county commissioner. Can't say that enough. Like I said, it's time to.
Now I got to charge you. Sorry. Yeah.
You can put that one on my tab.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
But I mean, like I said, it's community needs to come together. Like I said, I guess there's two roads in life. You can do things that are in service to yourself, or you can do things that are in service to others. And I think helping other people is the right path to
Yep.
take and to help our community. And that's what I think ultimately is what's best for our community is people helping people.
Yep.
City helping county, county helping city, us helping each other.
We're one large unit. City
Yeah.
residents, Nolan, you're paying county tax as well.
Yeah.
When you get your taxes, we're
I'm
we're all
paying
one
property
unit.
tax, so I'm going to vote no. No, I'm just.
Yeah. But I mean, in a nutshell, we are. We all
Yep.
need to work together, and there isn't an ag producer or a rural resident out there that wouldn't gladly pay an extra dollar to keep your pastime, your runnings, your KB Jewelers, your all these stores, your White Drug, Kennedy's, all
Yep.
I could name them all, but they're all important to all of us, not just the city of Hettinger.
Yeah.
And so when the taxes have to go up to support things like that, it hurts everybody, not just the city of Hettinger.
Right.
I mean, when your taxes go up, Nolan, and maybe mine didn't go up out in the county, businesses might start moving out of town if that gets out of
Yeah.
hand. And without those businesses, what do we have?
Yep.
Then we're all driving somewhere else, and that hurts the county revenue as well. It
Yep.
hurts just our community. So we need to work together no matter what.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, our public entities are here to build up our communities, not make roadblocks.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I always tell people, the success of what I've done here on the council is measured by if I've solved more problems than I created.
Yeah.
So like I said, the jury's still out there.
Yeah, you're at 52% right now, I think, so.
The poll will be out.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm going to vote, or I'm going to pull 4 people. We'll see how you're doing. So I'll let you know.
Well, again, Nolan, we thank you very much
Yep, you
for
bet.
all the
Yeah.
time, and we apologize for
No,
getting
you're
too
fine.
long-winded. But
You're fine.
definitely willing to see everybody at the Second 40 Club.
Yeah.
You're not too young to be there either, Nolan.
Monday the 14th, yep. I'm second 40, you bet.
I'm in there. I'm in there as well. James is the
yeah.
only baby
I'm
here.
getting there.
There you're getting there. All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.